Hey, welcome to another episode of Talking Hyvä. This time it's an introduction to the Hyvä Widgets, which we just released last week. The Hyvä Widgets is a set of Magento widgets specifically built for Hyvä, which are in addition to the building tools that you get with PageBuilder nowadays, which used to be an enterprise feature for Magento. PageBuilder is now also available for open source. But while the PageBuilder gives you a lot of flexibility in creating your own layouts and styling things, it doesn't have much restrictions, and I mean that in a positive way. If you're building a design for a Magento front end, it might be nice to have some restrictions in how things look and how designs are implemented. So that's why Goran from Bemeir, American agency, decided to help us build widgets into Hyvä. So welcome, Goran.
Thank you very much, Willem. It's a pleasure to be with you here.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us and kind of celebrating that we finally released the widgets. I know you as an agency really like to work with widgets a lot more than working with PageBuilder, because I guess it's a nice tool to give your merchant a lot of freedom to design or to insert their own content, but within a certain set of rules that are incorporated in front end design-wise, right?
Yeah, so like I said, first of all, I want to thank you primarily and Vinay for pushing this forward. We did deliver the main code pool, but you guys really did the nice final touches on it. So I just want to thank you guys on that. The Hyvä widgets, like you said yourself, there are native Magento 2-way of just giving a user a simple and effective CMS system and framework to quickly, and practically prototype, create pages inside of already familiar ecosystem, right? So they don't need to do any additional knowledge around PageBuilder. They don't need to worry about any additional third parties. They don't need to worry about any of the errors that are currently occurring in the PageBuilder itself, right? And all of the complications of the PageBuilder, right? But I'm not going to bash on the PageBuilder. We already spoke before we actually recorded this call about my bad feelings towards the Bluefoot, or what was next acquired by.
There's some history behind how PageBuilder for Magento came to be, as it first was a paid module called Bluefoot, and then for a long time it was a commerce-only feature when Magento bought that product, and then finally after years they also released it to open source. So I'm personally happy that they made that step. Of course, some things could still be improved on a PageBuilder, but that's the strength of open source. Now that it is open source, a lot more people can actually help to improve those things. And an added bonus is that the widgets that we now made available, they also work with the PageBuilder. So it gives you a bit of both worlds, where you could insert rows and columns with the PageBuilder, and then insert the widgets that we built and kind of make a mix of both. Or you could leave out the PageBuilder entirely and just only build your content using the widgets. Now, I personally think I've been a fan of widgets for the longest time. When I used to build Magento teams on a daily basis for my customers, I used to build a lot of custom widgets for them, just to enable them to easily create content blocks that repeat through the whole website on different places. And I think a lot of people forgot about, or they're not the most well-known feature of Magento. They're often looked past while they're super powerful.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I agree absolutely on everything that you said, right? It's my opinion was based previously what you pointed it out. It wasn't open source, right? Mm-hmm. Everything that you did wasn't anymore available to you, right? But now when it's coming back, obviously it's going to take traction, and more and more people will start to use it, right? So we are completely on the same page there, and definitely I agree with you 100%. Widgets are all usually overlooked from the developers and from the client's perspective, right? And they stay away from them. I don't know for what the correct reason is. Maybe it's because there's a complication when you want to do something like, for example, when you demo our widgets that we did, multi-field, right? There's a lot of complications in actually getting those Ajax fields up and running, right? And there's a lot of problems that we encountered, and you know them yourself, right? So during the build of those widgets is where Magento 2 native functionalities like tiny MCE and stuff like that didn't account for this new kind of content where you want to save array of widgets, actually, non array of data, right? And then it automatically escapes, and it's all protected behind private methods, right? Which shouldn't actually be private. They should be public methods, so we can use plugins and, you know, normally and nicely override them, right? So it really resulted in a lot of experimental work.
Yeah, there were definitely some hurdles I saw you needed to overcome with things that you would expect to work out of the box that caused some issues. And I always was surprised how things like an image uploader is fairly difficult to implement in the admin area. But that's enough about, I guess, about we can continue talking about the technical stuff for quite a while, and it would be fun. But let's continue showing a little bit of what we made and how people can start using it today. So let me share my screen. Be this one. So what you're looking at currently is our GitLab environment, specifically the repository for the Hyvä Widgets. Now everything that's available on our GitLab is also available via your private packages. So if you're a licensee, you have access to all of our GitLab repositories through Composer. So for an existing customer, you could simply do a composer required to the Hyvä Widgets, which is described here. We're also we have documentation ready in GitLab. We'll also move that to our docs.hyvä.io site. So also the people that are not using GitLab on a daily basis, they can get the documentation through our record documentation site. So Goran was kind enough to write out this documentation, getting started, how to use them, etc. So you can read through those in your own pace. I think it's really important to have good documentation on these kind of things. So you also have something to forward to your merchant and use as a basis how you can start using widgets. So on your existing Hyvä installation, simply require the Hyvä Widgets either via Composer, or if you're using GitLab for installing Magento as a contributor, you can install them using your GitLab access. Of course, as with any module, enable it through the command line. And then finally, we need to add the directory for the widgets to your Tailwind configuration to include the CSS classes from the HTML files. So if we go to my local installation of a demo site, and then go into my child team, I have a custom team here. It's very small. It contains the web directory with my Tailwind CSS, and I overwrote just one HTML file. So if you go to your child team and then into your Tailwind directory and then the config.js, All the way at the bottom, you can find this purge config node. It's also documented on our getting started documentation page for the Hyvä team itself, how this purging works. So I'm not going to go into detail on that part, but you can see by default, this one is enabled. It just means that your current team, the whole directory is being included in the purging script. Then we're including the parent team here. So it takes all the CSS classes from there. And what we added is the Hyvä teams directory right there. So the Hyvä Widgets directory. So if we move into that directory from that environment, so let's dive into, I'm already in Warden. So I can go into my team folder, front end, web, web, tailwind, and then run build production. So we're creating a production build of the tailwind CSS. And if we go back to the documentation for a second, you should have already run setup upgrades to enable the Hyvä widgets, the module. Now we incorporated the tailwind CSS that you need for your widgets. This is all done. So let's add some widgets. This is my front end. That's the default theme. I installed the Vinia demo data instead of the standard Luma demo data, just because it looks a bit more modern. But this is my standard homepage without any content in it. So from my admin, let's go into the homepage and have a look at the widgets that we can implement there. Now, if you're familiar with widgets, you know you can add them in any CMS element, so you can include them in a CMS page or a CMS block, but you always have the possibility to add them directly as a widget as well. And that means you create an instance of a widget. Let's quickly select one of the Hyvä widgets, and then my Hyvä default team. So from here you select where you want to show them and on what element of the page. So if you say I want to set a specific page, and that should be the homepage, CMS homepage, and I want to add it to the main content area. All of this is of course documented on the Magento merchant docs, so the standard Magento documentation. This is all standard widget stuff. Let's add it to the main content area. So that's where it's being added. Let's say we want to add our homepage. And then you see all the options that you get with this particular Hyvä widget. To show the difference between a widget instance and how it looks if you add it from the CMS page editor. So here you get all the options in this separate tab. And if you save it, it will be added to the homepage. This is a nice way to also put it on, for example, an order confirmation page, or to add it to the cart page, or whatever non-CMS page you can add it, because, well, through these layout updates you can add them practically to any page that you want. So that's a way to put them on from one place. You could put them on multiple positions on your site, or if you just go to the editor. In this case, we have PageBuilder enabled, but if you haven't installed PageBuilder, you'll just get what you see is what you get with editor right here, and it basically gives you the same options. I'm going to insert a row here. Okay, let's delay there, and then directly throw a text element in here, because then you get a WYSIWYG editor, and that enables you to insert native widgets here. And then you get the same list of widgets that you also saw with the widget instance. And under Hyvä, you can see the 4 different types of widgets that we currently implemented. Now, a banner kind of speaks to itself. It's a banner image, or you could even do it without a banner, just set a background color and add some text to it. It has different layouts that you can select. You can show a listing of products from a certain category. So imagine you have a sale category and you want to show all the products that are on sale currently, and list those as a grid or as a slider. Hyvä content is a simple content field, which you can, well, it has a nice wrapper around it, so you can display it in different ways. So you get standard CMS content, but you can add a container around it, have some animation when it scrolls into view, set background colors, etc., margins around it. So these are typically things you could do with the page builder. But if you're not using a page builder, this is very convenient, a convenient way to insert content in any page. And again, this also works in combination with the page builder. You could add this widget in the page builder and have those options like the animations that we built in now.
Can I add just one thing?
Absolutely. Here? Interrupt me whenever you have some.
I just wanted to say that it works perfectly well with the page builder, but the strength over it using with the page builder is simplicity of editing its backend code, right? It's pretty much creating a custom theme like you did, pasting over normally having the vendor namespace, and then pasting over the template in, and they have full control on what they need to do, right? Or if they want to create their own things, they can create a widget XML in their module, add additional stuff, use our block classes, use our view model classes, and create whatever they want, right? So that's the strength of the familiarity over the page builder, which has much more steps, right? Sorry.
That's a really good point. And I wanted to have a look at the code, the HTML files, after showing how it works in the front end. But it's good to mention indeed that is one of the strong points of these widgets. As an agency or developer, you can set the constraints within how these widgets are being shown. So you can put a shell around it that has a certain format or layout or certain colors or a container around it that you want to set. So you can add a HTML file to this content and indeed add also the options that you have in this widget. You can easily extend it with your own variable, add an extra field for, I don't know, different settings for mobile or different font settings. So you can select a different font set, any of those things. So there are perfect starting points to use to build your own widgets as well and extend on these things. That's a really good point. After Hyvä content, the last one is multi-field, and multi-fields is basically a way to add multiple images with a title, description, optionally a button. So it's a listing of items, so to say, which you can show in a grid or in a slider. And I guess we're just going to add 4 of these widgets and show how they work in the front end, show a little bit how those options work, and then jump into the HTML files and shortly show where those are located and how this is working on the background. So let's start with inserting a banner. We choose an image from the gallery. It is always good to set the default width and height of the original image so that on the front end, we can set those on the image so you get the right aspect ratio, which is really important for your front end performance, so the browser can render the space for this image as soon as possible. So that's a performance optimization that you should ideally always do. So This is a Hyvä Banner.
You know, sometime or someday you're gonna have to teach me how to write that letter.
It's
I'm still trying to find it on my keyboard, but yeah.
Yeah, you need to set the right keyboard settings to European, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just copy pasting all the time.
So a little bit of text. We have a call to action on the button, and the button goes to contact. Alignment of the text. We can set the text color. That works nicely, including opacity. The background. So let's say we have an image, so probably it's not needed. Let's set the text to something dark, and we don't need a container color because we have an image. Let's not put a container around it for now, and we're taking a full width. We don't add shading for now. Let's save this one, and then already have a look how that first banner looks. Okay, so you can see the title and the color that we selected, some text, a call to action, some things we can do to add a little bit more spacing around it, maybe. We have this margin. There's a class where you can, well, there's an option where you can set classes on the parent container. So we could do, for example, margin Y8. So we get a little bit of space around it, and maybe also do some padding. Let's see how that looks. And now we saw the full width version. Let's also show the half width version.
Sorry for interrupting. Point being is, I think this is because of the page builder, right? But full width should be edge to edge, honestly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So something is afoot here on the page builder itself, right? And you just selected. Did you just selected the half, right?
Yeah.
Half left caption, yeah. But why isn't it not showing the image on the right side, right?
Yeah.
So this is what I was saying, right? This will have to additionally have to be reviewed on the page builder itself, because this should function normally on without page builder, right? But if you save
Mm-hmm.
right now and go to front end, it should have half, and it's basically using the tailwind components. Yeah. If people are familiarized with tailwind components, there are a set of paid components, right?
Yeah.
Which are available for purchase, right? And we have purchased personally the license for that, so we're using those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
But this is definitely kind of not looking correct, right?
Yeah, I don't know what the image, why that's currently not showing. And URL is right.
It's probably a conflict, like I said, which I noticed between the widget components code and what's being rendered, right? So it definitely needs to be a little bit investigated, right?
I'm not sure because this just worked for me. Might it be missing some tailwind class?
Just a sec. Can you go back to the code?
Well, I'm gonna go with full width now, and we can look.
Yeah, we can look into it, definitely. I mean, if you want to demo it 100%, you can turn off really quickly at the end of this call the page builder and just show how it looks without a page builder, right? And how it's going to function in native Magento 2. But since it's functioning, it's probably some kind of tailwind conflict, which I already experienced, right? So we're going to have to check it out.
Yeah, might have to do with the admin tailwind generation that we do for the page builder. And I just updated that on this local instance yesterday, so it might be because of that. Let's just focus now on the full width one. It would be nice to show the animations that we built in. You can do with fades with a direction of animation, and very soon we'll add an extra option for how the timing for this animation is triggered. Like when you scroll into view, it's using x-intersect on the background. So whenever you scroll something into view, this animation is being triggered. And if we say fade up, and then say that reload the page, and you'll see if you scroll down.
Yeah, it has definitely a nice fade effect.
It has a nice fade effect, but I think it also doesn't do the scroll up. So I think we indeed have we're missing some of the tailwind classes. Pretty sure. This one. Let's translate Y. I think that's missing. Let's translate Y20. Yeah, I definitely didn't pick up on the tailwind.
But do we have the correct teams enabled? Because I've seen that you're enabling the default one, not the custom one.
You're right. I'm in the yeah. You're absolutely right. I need to be in the storefront with the child team. Perfect. Okay, so that definitely looks how it's supposed to look.
So it's probably the other one, the half
this is
function too.
Yeah, the half one will function.
I didn't want to mention it. I was just keeping it quiet in the background, right? Letting you struggle. I'm just joking. It came to my mind.
Yeah, I have multiple store views, and the store view is not, well, it doesn't use the child team.
All good, all good.
So, let's show the half left option then.
And there we are.
Yeah,
perfectly.
So that's the half width one. So we were definitely missing some tailwind classes. That explains. And then we have another option where you can flip the columns around and have the image left and the text right. In this layout, it also makes sense to maybe choose a background color, and let's quickly use a color picker here to pick a color from the side. So let's use that color in the background, obtain a background color. and then see what that looks like. Oh well, you could change the text color, and as we said, the button is optional, so you can also leave that out. And since it's all Tailwind, and we have a field for classes on the parent container, you could do additional things here, like saying I want to have this rounded, and anything else. Well, let's add a shadow MD to it, and then final thing I will show for this widget. And did it reload already? Not save that. We have rounded. Okay, but that's not the active Tailwind class, so we should use.
With Tailwind, things that I found out is that, for example, when you add border, right, which should work out the box immediately, sometimes it doesn't. You actually need to specify border T and then something, right? Yeah. And I still haven't tracked down why this is from Tailwind's perspective, right? Is it missing classes or something like that, right?
Well, let's move on to.
I mean, like I said, for the people, just a disclaimer, this is a tool to use, right? Obviously, it's going to get improved by both of us with all due time. So we'll check all of these things and polish them out, but developers are free to, check it out on this themselves, right? We actually encourage them to do it themselves. I'm just joking, and I'm not joking, and to post PRs to to our widget, right?
Yeah, but you're right. I did test this before to add some custom styling to this. One of the underlying ideas of this was actually not to do too much styling in the widget and do that in your PHTML files, which we'll show in a minute. But it was still nice that you have the option to add classes like that.
It's weird it's not functioning because it should, right? But we'll check it out. But we don't need to do it on this call because everything's functioning. I know that you're like me, you would like to resolve it right away. Like, why is not functioning? Demo is failing. It's not actually failing. It's perfect. So yeah, it's just failing classes. It's not a big deal.
Okay, so what the next widget is? That's the category products. So let's say this is new products, and optionally you can add some content, but it's not required. And then here you have a category selector, and well, let's say that the category accessories is currently the sale directory. Let's pretend. Going to display 16 products. Again, we have the option to add an animation. Let's animate this one to the left, and then we can select: do we want to use the native Hyvä slider, use the Sply.js library as a slider, or display them as a grid? It's fairly easy to add your own library and extend the HTML file to use the slider library that you want, or make adjustments to the existing HTML files. Let's start with the Hyvä slider first. We have some padding and margin options. Let's put a margin Y8 on this one as well. And not add any content yet. Save it.
I actually prefer Hyvä or Hyvä slider. or all of the rest, right? Just because of the point of not bloating more the project itself, right? But it's like you said, it's really to developers' preference, right?
Yeah, well, the whole idea of Hyvä is not to use too many external libraries, because Alpine.js can do all these things. So this is a slider that a reusable slider element that we built that you can just load items into. So we built a widget on top of that, and then if you choose to use the Sprite version, so the cool thing about widgets as well is that I can just paste a copy of it and make this one the Sprite.js. And let's say that this one fades right. And then add yet another one. And make this one display a grid. So we have all the options displayed. And this one goes left again. So those are the 3 different layouts. This is the native Hyvä slider without any additional JavaScript library. Here's the Sprite.js one. Comes with some extra features like dragging with a mouse, and I guess some different functionalities from mobile. It's a bit richer experience than you get with the Hyvä slider, but it also comes with, let's see, the JavaScript file. It's an extra 30 kilobytes, and I guess you can live with that. It's just not something that we put into the core by default, but it's the whole point. If you need a library, you can always use it, but with Hyvä, you don't necessarily need to use a library for everything. This is the grid display, and well, you could customize the way that this looks entirely. If you want to have add to cart buttons in there and everything, it's up to you. So that's the display of the products. Let's keep going. Here another text elements and add some widgets. And then we have the content. And this one is mostly built around just the HTML or WYSIWYG editor to insert your custom content. It has some of the same options, so having a container around it or not, showing an animation on scroll. All of those are used on all the widgets. But what's nice here is when you're using Tailwind UI, you get access, well, you can buy a license, you can get access to all these pre-built elements using Tailwind. You can just paste them into the widget and it will generate the CSS classes for it on the fly. And
do you want to demonstrate? I'm going to send you the credentials.
Yeah, well, there are some free alternatives. Like, well, let's use this one to also show that you can get components for free with Tailwind. This is Miraka UI, and if we go to the hero section, we can take this one and look at the code.
It's interesting that I mean, I didn't know that. I didn't know about this website, to be honest.
There are quite a couple, and the quality
I have to check
varies,
it.
but overall, there's some really good examples and some nice things you can get from these websites. There's well, now we're talking about it. There's a I think it's called awesome Tailwind probably on GitHub.
I know that there's the official one. No, not the official free one, which is like a. I forgot how it's called, but this Meraki, or however it's pronounced, is the first one that actually found out. I didn't Google them, to be honest, but it's interesting to find out that they're popping out, right?
Mm-hmm. Is it this one? Yeah. So awesome Tailwind CSS, and there is tools somewhere. There's libraries. So here's a whole bunch of libraries that you can check out that have Tailwind components that you can just copy and paste. And that's such a rich resource. Here's the Mira guy, the one that I just showed. Just have tail blocks and many others. And the cool thing is with the admin JIT compilation that we do, you can paste any of these things into your admin, into the CMS, and the Tailwind code is generated on the fly. So let's go back here, copy it. Oh, there's a button, copy the text.
I already copied it, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I pasted it here as well, okay.
Just switch it.
Yeah, so it's missing the images, but except for that, it took everything. So there are self-hosting images here, not using remote images, which maybe this one without images. It's also nice to show. On the clipboard here. So let's update it with the one that looks nice out of the box. Right editor, paste the whole thing, save. So that's all the styling, and then you could include a background color and some settings on the parent container, and ready to go. Put in your custom content, add some links to it. You can use the slide animation to fade in with direction. So that works really nicely. And then the final one.
The most fun one.
And to build, yeah, but probably also to use.
I'm just super scared if it's gonna function normally when you add it.
The multi-fields. Let's call it multi-field for now. You can add some content. And again, we can select the Hyvä slider, Sply.js, or a grid. And then you can add images from the WYSIWYG editor. Let's go with 3 of these. One, 2, 3. Click me. Add a container. Let's do another fancy animation. Put some padding around it. That does make sense for this one. And margin, some padding. Okay. Okay.
Beautiful.
So that's 3 items. It doesn't slide yet because everything fits into screen. I guess if we make it a bit smaller, then you get the sliding. So that's the native Hyvä slider. But again, you have multiple options. Get rid of the animation, fade up left, let's do none. Have enough going on. And then multiply it 2 more times. And again, show the different layouts. Split slider and the grid view. Maybe add a 4th image. So that's the grid view, and then the multi-field with display.js. There's a continuous scroll, so it just keeps going round. And this is the Hyvä slider. Here, you make the screen smaller. Then you get the additional sliding options. Yeah, you can see dependency-wise, well, this is a browser plugin, but we only have the Supply.js plugin. What we use for the animations when you scroll into view is a x-intersect plugin that we incorporated into the default Hyvä theme. So you would have that available starting Hyvä version 1.1.10. We added that, and then the animation itself is just triggered purely with Tailwind CSS classes. So if we head to PHP Storm and then into the Hyvä Widgets right here, you can see in View, Front-End, Templates, Widget. Here you have the 4 different widget types. So the banner, category listing, content, and the multi-field. And for the slider, for the multi-field and the product item, those are the separate items in the sliders for the multi-field. So that's for this one. That's a separate PHTML file. And for the product item, that's the category listing. So that's for this one. You can style these separately as well. And with any PHTML file, you can override this in your own theme. So if you look at the module name, Hyvä Widgets, front-end, templates, let's first create a directory for that in our theme. Custom new directory. The templates, and then let's take the banner one for now. Widget banner. Okay. So unless you already spots me doing something wrong in the directory structure, I'm gonna see if this works out of the box. Here you can see how x-intersect is working on this element. This is Alpine.js stuff. It's an attribute that you add that's available for Alpine version 3 by default. But we backported that to Alpine version 2, which we're currently still using. And if we add features like this right now, we want to make sure that they're already forward compatible for when we switch to Alpine version 3. So if you choose to switch to Alpine version 3 already, you also have x-intersect available. It's quite simple. You have some directives for entering and for leaving, and you can set if you want to trigger this action. By default, if you say enter, or we can show this on the banner, and clear the cache. So we remove the half part now, and then you should be able to see on the banner, so that's this one. Currently, if you scroll, now it's half into the viewport, and then it animates in. Now we remove the half. Let me reload this page. Takes a while because we cleared all the caches, sorry.
And probably Zoom. I don't know how about you, but my MacBook just freezes when I'm sharing my screen on Zoom.
Yeah, it's much slower, but I also I have the cache cleaner running, and still I automatically flushed all the caches, which wasn't even.
It's all Zoom. It's all Zoom.
Yeah. So now you can see. Well, that still looks like enter half, so that didn't update. So it's not picking up this file. Let me check. Custom Hyvä Widgets. Oh yeah, not front-end templates, just directly. Okay, so let's do the full page and the blocks and reset. Yeah. So now you can see x-intersect enter. There's no .have here, it's just enter. And then you can see when I scroll to view, it immediately starts showing it. As soon as a little bit of it is shown, and the same goes when I scroll up, it's the same animation. Now, what you could do is, well, you have enter half, and you have enter full. So then you need to scroll the full element into view before it's showing. What you could also do is just say we do x-intersect enter, and we leave out the leave part, so it only triggers once. We're reloading the page, and then scroll down. Needed some time to load still. Let's do that again. So now it's showing, and it keeps showing. It doesn't trigger the animations a second time. So if you choose to, you could just say, well, I want to have this experience for the first time when you scroll down. It animates everything into view, but I don't want to make it too much of an animation circus. So I'm leaving out the part where it hides it again. We're going to put this into admin options. So you'll be able to select those on the widgets next to the animation type. Well, what's also nice is that this is so extendable that you could add your custom animations and maybe leave out the fading part and only do the animation with the direction, or build in your own type of animation. Currently, we have this fade animation here, and really soon we'll add the extra options here for when it should animate. So using the half and the full, and leaving out the leave part so that it doesn't trigger the animation more than once. The x-intersect options are documented quite well. Alpine.js plugin intersect, that's the URL. And you can read how it works. We implemented it exactly the way it's done in Alpine version 3, so you can use the same parameters. And what's a nice example of how we implemented it in widgets, but I think these x-intersect options are really nice to use in your own team as well. We're using it for the new Hyvä.io site to trigger some scripts when you scroll down, etc. you can apply it on any Alpine.js element. Yeah, and each widget has its own HTML file, as I already showed. That also means that if you want to add that standard rounded corners, or you want to customize the way that buttons are being displayed, that's all standard HTML. You can have a look at this. So here we have button primary. You could change this to have any custom button styling using Tailwind classes. Yeah, and I think it's fairly easy to distill what options we put into the widgets from the top of the file. You could add your custom ones here and go wild with it. Incorporate it into the design of the project that you're working on, and yeah, do all the styling in HTML files, which really puts the constraints of the design of the shop around those widgets and give the merchant full freedom in editing this content, but still have it look nice within the front end, within the design of the shop. So yeah, I think we didn't run into any lasting issues. Some things that we found out during the call, during this run through. So the things that we're going to do next is add those x-intersect options, move the documentation also to the docs.hyvä.io site, and I guess in the future we'll be looking at more different types of widgets that we can incorporate. Let's head back to our one-on-one. Yeah, am I missing anything that's still on the to-do, or the roadmap, or things that I forgot that are currently not missing we have to have a look at?
I think you're perfect. So presentation was great. I would just say that we should just mention probably the widget XML, right?
Yeah.
So that's as a last part, right? So they can actually extend and how to do it. And I think that's all. I want to know that, I mean, in the long run, our goal is definitely to improve on those widgets. And specifically, like you said, the priorities are the documentation, these few things. And then obviously on the multi-field widgets, people are going to probably ask themselves, but how can I reposition things inside of the multi-field widget, right? Mm-hmm. So definitely as a next step in our roadmap is going to be to actually implement drag and drop functionality for those little parts, right? So they can just drag and drop it, right? And remove them, put them here and here and here, right? Because currently you can't do that.
In this one, right?
Yeah, exactly. You need to create them in order you want them to, right? So that's a great, nice little feature that we're definitely gonna be implementing in the long run, right?
Cool. Yeah. Alternatively, in the meantime, you could add an extra field with a sort order.
Yeah,
it's not as nice, of course, but that if your merchant really requires to reorder them easily, that would be quite simple to implement. The widget XML is a good one to point out. So that's in the Hyvä widgets, widget XML. That's extendable, of course, so you can put that in your own child theme, and then have a look at the options. There's a widget node for each widget that we just showed. So there's 4 of them, and if you want to add custom options, that's a matter of inserting a parameter at the place where you want to have it. Well, yeah, there's a lot of documentation on how you can create widget fields. So you can duplicate things that we already use, like the color picker or text fields, or so you could reuse that or refer to the Magento documentation about widgets, how you could incorporate a field that we're not using here yet. Yeah, that's all extendable. So that's a really good thing to point out. yeah, was that what you were after?
Yeah, I think that's it, right? Just a note in the end to just keep in mind this is nothing complicated that we did, right? And it's just Magento 2 and widgets, right?
Yeah.
And the sky is the limit. Whatever you model, whatever developers want to create, they can create it with it, add it as a block model class instead of widget, and it's going to render like that, and so on and so on, right?
Yeah,
So,
what I really like is that it's a good solution out of the box. So it's well styled within the default theme now, and for any agency or developer, it's very easy to incorporate your design into it and use this as a building block to create your own widgets or extend them. Yeah, I'm sure we're going to see some extra widgets on the long run that will add to this. Yeah, as we said, it's freely available. It's by the kindness of Bemeir, our partner, that they made this available for all of our Hyvä clients to use. Yeah, I'm happy we could add it to the toolbox. And yeah, that's a tool for every need. And I think some agencies use widgets really extensively. Others use external content management systems or rely on PageBuilder. But it's a nice thing that you can have a lot of options to build this for the need of this particular merchant or the agency that's working with it. So I want to thank you. I know how incredibly much time you spent to this and also the frustrating bits of fixing core issues with the widgets. So really appreciate the work you put into it. And yeah, I'm happy we can now share it.
It's the same on our side. We appreciate you guys immensely because you guys just came at the right time to revitalize, or whatever the English word is, Magento 2, right? Hyvä is an amazing asset, and this is not a biased opinion. It's not because we're partners. It's not. I'm usually known in the Magento 2 world as a super honest person, right? And Hyvä itself is an amazing asset of Magento 2, an amazing asset for e-commerce ecosystem, because like I said, all of the clients have their own requirements. Some are going to use SaaS solutions, some are going to use Magento, some are going to, but the underlining truth is that Magento out of the box, that's a fact, has the most capabilities, right? And the only bottleneck of Magento 2 was the speed, which Hyvä completely resolves. It's up there with the PVA Studio. It's up there with, I've done tons of React applications. I've done integrations and so on and so on. The load times and everything is great, but the time to market with Hyvä is much faster than using any other tool in Magento 2, right? So yeah, that's really why we are super appreciative of you guys on that. Just to close it out, and we are already actively using it on several projects, and I think our clients are going to be extremely happy.
Yeah, what I like about you guys is that you have the approach that you search the right tool for the right customer, and as you said, you've done a ton of React applications, and you're actively working on PWA solutions as well. And I've always said there are use cases for JavaScript-driven applications and PWAs. I personally don't think that's for the largest part of the market, but there's definitely a market for that. And I'm happy that Hyvä fits in there as one alternative of how you can build a Magento front end or e-commerce front end. And really happy with your feedback and the things that you guys are doing with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, you thanked us, but yes, we did the code pull for, but I'm gonna again, thank both you and Vinay, right, for all their effort and support, right, over getting these widgets out, right. They were not simple. You know it, I know it, because you were in the end reviewing it and reviewing my code and cleaning it up, right. So it's much appreciated. So we learned a lot on that part too, right?
It was I think common effort, collaboration. Really nice.
And I think And I think that, we have another thing coming that's going to be our collaboration. Just announced it, is the Snowdog menu, right? Which we're currently cleaning. And thank you very much to the Snowdog team too, for providing, the code, but we modified it to work with Hufa and Tailwind and Alpine JS, right? Some of our projects are going to get Snowdog out too, right? So the community can be really looking forward to that too, from our side at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to that as well. Okay, so I think we've talked more than enough now. Let's allow people to start using it and wrap this up. Look forward to speaking to you again soon. And thanks you again. And to the
same here, Willem. Same here, Willem, and thank you to you guys on the Hufa. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thanks all for watching, listening, and enjoy your Hyvä widgets. Bye.